Sit back and enjoy the show. I've got Mike Stanton from Space City Home Network, and we're going to talk about Billy Wagner. We're going to talk about Josh Hader and just this powerful lineup and things looking really good for the 2024 Astros. Let's start right now.
To Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chancey.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Locked On Astros. You are hanging out with us, and it is Mike, and it is Brett. And where are we? There we go. All right. It turned into the Mike Stanton show there for a second. Don't give this guy any ideas. Hold on, and unmute the mic. Look at this, man. I am stumbling out of the blocks here.
I was going to say, that was a lot of Mike Stanton. We don't need that.
Wow. This podcast is brought to you by Mike Stanton Incorporated. But seriously, I am Htown Wheelhouse. This is another edition of Locked On Astros. Thank y'all for tuning in. Look, you can find me at Htown Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like all our videos. Share them with your family and friends. It's free and easy to listen to wherever you get your podcast. Without further ado, I've got World Series champion here. Current Home City, Space City Home Network commentator for the Houston Astros, Mike Stanton. Mike, that was a rough beginning. I mean, you probably know what it's like. Look, you're a relief pitcher. You came in after some starts. Tell everybody where they can find you and kind of tell us what you guys got cooking up, because we know spring training's right around the corner.
Yeah, Mike Stanton 29 on X, formerly known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter, by the way. Yeah, that's where you can get me. And yeah, we got spring training right around the corner. We're going to be covering 11 preseason spring training games once we get to those exhibition games on Space City Home Network. I'm still trying to figure out how to get that out of my mouth.
Wow, yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good spring training. It looks like the Astros are poised to make another run.
No, and it does. And there was a lot of doom and gloom, after, the natural end to, I guess, a season, or the natural reaction to the end of a season like we had. I mean, I was at that game 7. It was unlike anything I've experienced since 2015 with the playoffs. I've never experienced, even in playoff losses, which I've only been to one playoff loss in my career, and I'm on a streak right now. And that streak was ended on game 7. I was sure, because I was at game 5, and I was sure that I was going to keep my streak alive. But I think the X factor, my son wasn't with me.
There it is.
So maybe it was on me. I mean, I'll take it.
You got big shoulders. You could take it.
That's right. That's right. But man, talking about the Astros ramping up, Mike, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were hearing all the chatter. Jim Crane is cheap. Jim Crane's not opening the pocketbook. He's going to let Bregman. He's going to let Kyle walk. Is he going to actually sign Altuve? And you hear all the naysayers, and everybody's just so upset. Look at the Dodgers and look at the Yankees. And I made the comment the other night. I kind of quoted Moneyball, but I use the Dodgers. I was like, if we try to play like the Dodgers in here, we're going to get beat by the Dodgers out there. I was like, we cannot do that. We have our system. But Josh Hader, one of the most dominant closers in many, many, many years, as a former pitcher yourself, relief pitcher and World Series champion, what is it like for other players to bring a player of this caliber into the clubhouse?
Oh, I think it just sends a message that, yes, Jim Crane and the front office does have your back. They are trying to make the team better. We went into this off season thinking that, the Astros weren't going to make a whole lot of moves. And the biggest reason why, everybody was under contract. I mean, there just weren't any gaping holes. Yeah, you lost some relievers. There's always a turnover in the bullpen, but it wasn't going to be any big moves. I do think, and Dana Brown and company, they have kind of downplayed the whole Kendall Graveman situation. I think that really hit home. The bullpen was already a place that there were some question marks. They were going to bring some guys in. You still had a pretty good back end of the bullpen, but with Graveman going down, that shortened that game on the back end even more, or lengthened the game even more. And they need to do something. Now, I don't think this was a situation they flipped the switch and said, okay, now we are interested in Josh Hader. I think they were kicking the tires the whole time. They were involved in the negotiation. That's a big, big price tag for, one of the most dominant relief pitchers we have in Major League Baseball, and has been his whole career. He had the hiccup in 22, but he bounced back last year, had another tremendous season. So, I thought that was a great move by Jim Crane, by Dana Brown, pulling the trigger. This window of opportunity, it's going to close eventually. It's not going to open forever. It's been an incredible run. Last year it was coined the golden age of Astros baseball, and we're still absolutely in it. What you got to love is Jim Crane went ahead, pulled the trigger, said okay to a record-setting contract. And by the way, the window is still open. We're still the team to beat in the American League.
Yeah, and I saw projections for WAR by FanGraphs. We are up, we're projected to be 48.2 WAR. The Rangers are predicted to be 39.8 WAR.
Yeah,
for the season. That's insane. So on obviously y'all can't see it, but my screensaver is I made this little graphic, and I'm calling it the law firm of Abreu, Presley, and Hader. And this is a force to be reckoned with. It takes me back to my younger days when I used to get, I had the black and blue poster where it was Bo Jackson. Half of it was the Raiders and half was the Royals. And,
right.
And just, I was like, that needs to be one of those posters from the late 80s, early 90s, because it is scary. And he even said it himself. He's like, this is intense. And sure. I do want to play one, it's just a 30-second clip. It's a question that Chandler Rome asked him, and then I want to get your take on this.
Okay,
Chandler, and then Matt.
Hey, Josh. How comfortable are you getting more than 3 outs in a game? That's something you haven't done a ton in, and getting to meet Joe today, what were your conversations like with Joe about kind of your role and how he envisions this bullpen working?
That was one of the things, we really strived on was Houston committed to us, and, we share the same commitments both ways. So at the end of the day, as long as we're winning ball games and we can help the team out any way we can, that's going to be the end goal.
So, that was one of the things that I know people, I guess, were a little bit more critical of, and things that came out about Hader was, maybe he was unwilling to pitch more than 3 innings.
Mm-hmm. Especially into the season last year.
Yeah, right. With the new team, with the new regime, with the padding he has, is his approach, I've just got to see where this team has me, wants me. Like, what do you do with that as a coach, as a manager? What do you think how do you navigate something like that?
Well, I think they being the Astros, Dana and company, they, reached out to Ryan Presley before they did this and had a conversation. How did the conversation go? I'm not sure. Right. It's really not any of my business, but, they wanted to make sure they respected Ryan as the closer for everything he's done. He's been an all-star. He's done a great job, especially in the postseason for this team. But when you got the opportunity and you get the okay from ownership to bring in one of the best closers in the game, you have to, and you're a contending club. You're a team that thinks you are just a piece or two away from winning another World Series. You got to pull the trigger. And, I think it was just out of respect for Ryan that they reached out. It wasn't like that was going to be a deciding factor whether they made the move or not. Right. But, you have to remember, I thought Josh kind of got a bad rap last year because of, what happened there towards the end of the season. He really didn't want to overextend himself. You got to remember the San Diego Padres, I actually picked to be in the World Series last year.
Yeah.
My goodness, did I swing and miss on that one? But we were waiting all season waiting for them to right the ship. Well, they end up righting
Exactly.
the ship with a couple weeks left. They make a little bit of a run. It was looking good. They really didn't have a chance. They needed so much help from the other teams. And I understand, Josh Hader is a guy that has pitched a lot of innings. You go back to earlier in his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, he had no problem throwing multiple innings.
Right.
And doing it a couple days a week even. So I can understand he's right on the cusp of free agency. He's had a great year. Last thing he wants to do is go out there 3 days in a row, try to get 5 outs on the third day and blow out an elbow. And now, his payday and everything he's worked for personally is gone. So, I mean, I kind of understand it. Looking at the sand, it was fun to watch the Padres go on that run because they finally started playing up to their capabilities, but they really never had a shot for the playoffs. Like I said, they needed so much help from so many different other teams. Everything that was going to have to fall absolutely perfectly. But so the question is, where are they going to put him? What is he going to do?
Right.
Listen, you don't give him that contract to pitch the 8th. He's going, my opinion, again, I have no inside information. Let me throw my disclaimer out there.
Okay.
But he's going to pitch the 9th. Now, does he pitch every single solitary 9th inning? Maybe not. I mean, when you have other guys down there like Ryan Presley, who has done a very good job closing, and we've always thought that Abreu was the waiter and the closer in waiting.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, when you got other guys down there, you don't have to burn one guy out. I mean, it really can be a round robin, but I really think that if you look at it, Josh Hader is going to be the closer for the majority of the save opportunities.
Yeah. And that makes sense, of course, financially speaking.
Sure.
And in our next segment, we're going to talk about another relief pitcher, a flamethrower, Billy Wagner. So we'll get to that here soon. Hey, y'all. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Locked On Astros, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL regular season we know is over. We know the Texans' magical run came to an end, but what a glorious season it was. But there's still football to be played. The big game is coming up. It's the biggest game of the year, and new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The NFC and AFC championships are right around the corner, and make sure you get the app. It's so easy to use. There's so many different ways to bet, like live same game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular plays and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. And one more thing, folks, the Locked On Network has launched its first ever 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Today. Make sure you subscribe to it. All the local experts like myself and Eric and people from around the league, the hottest stories, the latest news on everything happening across the sports world. The only 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Go check it out today. So, Mike, going to bring you back in here. Thank you so much for sitting in. Thanks for taking time out. I know maybe you're kind of in the lull part of your season. I know this last weekend y'all actually partook in some of the festivities with FanFest, and that looked like it was a blast. It was. I literally could not peel myself away. I was obligated 4 or 5 different things, but. Tell me, what was it like? What was the buzz like? What was, I guess, with the Hader news? Were people a little bit more excited, you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, Josh Hader, that was a Saturday, was FanFest there at Minute Maid Park. Right. And I think the Hader news broke on Friday. So it was the forefront of everyone's mind.
Nice.
And there was a lot of conversations about it. But yeah, it brought some additional excitement. I don't want to say, everyone was already excited because this is still it was a very good team before Josh Hader. It's even a better team now with Josh Hader. So it was a little chilly in Minute Maid Park. People have to remember that it's a summer sport and you're in Houston, Texas. So there is no heater in Minute Maid Park. So it was a little chilly after all the cold weather we've had, but it didn't deter anyone. I want to say there was 33,000+ people that came out. It was a blast. Everyone was excited. Everyone was ready to go. It was just kind of crazy that it was that as chilly as it was, and you look at the calendar. Spring training is only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, I know, and that's weird. We get these late spurts of cold air, and our winter is maybe like 10 days out of the year, but it's never constantly like back to back. But speaking of cold air and coldness, I just, how can someone not vote for Billy Wagner? Like, can you please open your cold, dark heart and just, I actually had a conversation with someone today, and I don't know if they're a voter or not, but they said he would not make my Hall of Fame list. And I'm like, but why? I'm like,
what are you looking for?
Yeah. What are you looking for? All the all-star nods, all the saves. I mean, he had 40 saves his last season in baseball.
Had a sub-2 ERA his last season. I didn't think there was any way he was going to retire. I know he had talked about it, but I was like, oh, there's no way. Dude's still throwing 96 miles an hour. He's still out there shoving, doing exactly what he's done his whole career. So, I didn't think there was any chance. But, hey, he stuck to his word.
Now, did you ever cross paths with Billy in the league? And what was he like as a player? Because he comes across, I haven't had the opportunity or the honor to meet him in person. I'm hoping to get him on the show sometime this year. That would be great. But what's he like in person? He just seems like a down-home guy. I've met Will once or twice. Just seems like a good family, just a good guy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's awesome. There's so many great stories. He was a right-hander. He broke his arm. He taught himself how to throw left-hander. Now I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. We know that Billy's opinionated. He's not going to pull any punches on letting you know what that opinion is. There were times that I don't want to say it got him in trouble, but definitely got some headlines here and there. But I thought just what you see is what you get. I mean, just a good country boy that just was a spectacular talent. I mean, great athlete. The thing that always surprised me, and I tell people this, Billy was not the biggest of guys. He wasn't little. He wasn't very tall, but he wasn't little, had huge legs. But the first time I shook his hand, I was shocked at how small his hands are. I was expecting even though he's not the biggest guy of stature, I was expecting some big meat hooks or something like that, just simply because he threw so hard. His breaking ball was so good. There was such arm strength. But, he's got little hands. Well, he's made those work. But you and I haven't done a show on the Hall of Fame before. Mm-hmm. I am an extremely small hall guy. Okay. I do not like to put everybody in there. I call the Hall of Famers, they're the 1%ers. They're the 1%ers of, the 1%ers. And and I have to, every time I do this, I get callers on MLB Network Radio. Somebody's, I'm bad mouthing this guy. No, I'm not. It doesn't mean that I'm not taking away from what the player did. But in my opinion, he's not a 1%er. That let's say he's a 2%er. So Billy Wagner, absolutely a 1%er. I mean, there's two ways to make the Hall of Fame. You either longevity, which it's a combination of both in reality. Longevity, you just play so long, you hit the big numbers. Or it's either, quantity or quality. And you need to pitch for a while. And I think that's the only place that you can look at the numbers and say, okay, Billy didn't accumulate, the huge numbers of a Trevor Hoffman or a Mariano Rivera. But if you look at the numbers are better. His quality is just off the stinking charts. I mean, it was crazy how good he was year in and year out. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that, if he doesn't make it this year, I still think he's going to make it this year. But if he doesn't make it this year, he's going to make it. He absolutely deserves to be in there with the best because he is one of the best.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And just so people know, we're actually recording this the night before the announcement. So if
we're a little bit early.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and he's made it, don't yell at the screen too much or type in the chat. Don't break your keyboard going, what are you talking about? I just saw this. And So yeah, so this isn't some alternate universe, but
Right.
Billy Wagner paired with someone like Roy Oswalt, good old country boy. I had the honor this last year, and I hope I get to do it again this next season, where I hosted a live event where Roy Oswalt, Pudge Rodriguez, Will Harris, Ruben Sierra, Dan Wheeler, and all of them were on the call. I got to lead the questioning, and I got to talk to Roy, and I got to talk to these guys, and Roy's he's just a regular dude.
He is. Same thing. Just the guy.
And the thing is about the Astros and who they've had, that's really what they have.
Mm-hmm.
Biggio is a regular guy.
Yep.
I mean, I've met him multiple times in person in various places. And I always make sure if I see someone, especially of the stature of, Biggio, I try not to interrupt like their personal family time.
Sure.
But when I find the right time to go in and say hi and how much I appreciated what he did and what he's doing off the field, he has always been like, hey, what's up? Jeff Bagwell, same thing. Larry Dirk, same thing. Craig Reynolds. You just go down the list. Lance Berkman. I mean, we've got a really good reputation. And I hear very few stories of people saying they were ever disappointed to meet these guys. But what is so cool is Billy Wagner's on the cusp of possibly getting in the Hall of Fame, and his son is looking really good to make the Astros roster within the next couple seasons, and a really good infielder. But I want to ask you this, Mike. Let me know what you think about this. Just gonna do a little quick break here. Okay, so going into this year, I know Jeremy Pena addressed some of the questions about the swings. I know guys from 610. I know Space City, you guys interviewed several of the players, and so the hot topics were, Abreu, is he going to need rest this year? How's he going to be? Pena, he has literally not hit a home run since July 5th of last season. Of course, I mean, it's off season now. But you have Yainer Diaz in, who I think is an automatic injection of power.
Sure.
And then you get Victor Carantini, who is not bad at the plate either. Chas McCormick filling in left field now. Jordan, like Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, contract year. Who do you think offensively has the most to prove this year? And when I say prove, I don't mean that they've fallen off, but because of last year, because of all the struggles last year, who are you looking for to really go out there and grind and show everybody, hey, I'm still here?
Well, I don't know if there's anybody that you would look at and say, okay, this guy has to do it, or this guy, if he doesn't do it, he's going to lose his job. I think there's a couple players that you look at and you say, okay, is this guy for real? Chas is one of them. Chas had a tremendous run, especially through the middle of the season last year. And the question is, can he repeat that? Is that something that, was that just an aberration? Was that just an accident? Did he just have a great season? Or did he really take strides forward in his career so that he can duplicate that? Only time will tell. Abreu. Abreu got off to the horrendous start. I mean, it was some brutal at bats, and he did not look good at the plate. But he did right the ship and ended up putting up, pretty good numbers. Nothing what he had done in the past. But we'll have to wait and see if he does. Now, he's a guy that does not like. A lot of these guys don't like to take days off. Mm-hmm. The days off that they get, they're getting because basically the organization is forcing them to do it. And the Astros have had such long runs in the postseason. That's why you don't see anybody playing 162 games. Everybody's getting off days. To start off with, they have more off days than you did a few years ago. They got 10 more off days, but also there's going to be extra days because you're trying to make sure that everyone's healthy, not just through the regular season. You want them to have it healthy through September and into the postseason. So you got to make sure their legs are underneath them. But, the Astros are just in a great situation. Did they have a great offensive year last year as a whole? No, they did not. Okay.
Correct.
They struggled at home more than they did on the road, which is kind of their thing. They've always, I think, was it the last World Series year, they were really good at home. They were better at home than they were on the road. Kind of all the other years through this run, they've actually been a better offensive team on the road than they have been at home. You would like them to try and figure some things out. But, a guy like Bregman is just looking for a reason to get back on track. Now, he had a good year last year also, not a great year. But he swung the bat well. He said that he's completely healthy now. He's had a regular off season. He's not rehabbing anything. The hand's okay. The hamstring's okay. The quads, everything's good right now.
Right.
Well, I think Bregman's poised to have a big year. And listen, Jordan is going to do his thing. Altuve is going to be great. So I think offensively, they are definitely going to take a step forward. And that's really, what carried the Rangers was the offense. You said earlier that their WAR number is much lower than the potential of the Astros WAR number. And the reason is because of the pitching staffs. They're still going to be a good offensive team, but, what is the Rangers pitching staff going to look like? We're not exactly sure yet, but we know what the Astros are going to be.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I wanted to say, I shared it on the last show, but I just think you'll be entertained by this. Every once in a while, I pride myself in being a nice guy, Mike, but sometimes I like to poke the bear. And
of course,
I like to go over to our rival shows like Locked On Rangers. And Bryce, congratulations, you are a World Series champion. And he was there at Game 7 in Houston, so he got to see it. I was super happy for him.
Right.
But there was all this talk because he had put Plan B is gone, and he had a picture of Josh Hader. And so I was like, I want to read the comments. And all the Rangers fans were like, Hader, he's not one of those guys. He's gonna fall off the map. He's not gonna perform. And they're just basically dogging him, right? So I put, wow, I bet the vibe would be way different if the Rangers got Hader. And that's all I put. And then I got this really long response. This is what the guy said. Hader is a fantastic player, and in my opinion, the second best reliever in baseball. But which team he went to determines a lot about his value moving forward. Hader as a Ranger and Hader as an Astro is the exact same player. Now, he just contradicted himself.
Right.
But Hader won't nearly have the same impact on the Astros as he would have with the Ranger. So he's not as valuable. The move doesn't really make sense. And I just responded with, okay. I'm just like,
everybody has their opinions. They're entitled to their opinions.
They are. And he is, but this
in a way, I don't disagree with him because especially this is prior to the Graveman injury.
True.
The Astros had a better bullpen, so the bar started at a higher position when you brought in Hader.
Right.
So I don't disagree.
No, it was just funny because I was like, hold on. I was like, these guys would be singing his praises.
Oh my gosh.
If he was a Rangers uniform. But
that was a common theme that we heard Saturday at Astros FanFest.
Really?
Was that was one of the, it wasn't the main one. It was, yes, it makes the Astros better, but there was always that little caveat on the side. But we also kept him from going to the Rangers.
Exactly. So to close things out, we just got about a minute or two left.
Sure.
One more bat. Do you think Crane goes out and gets someone like a Peterson or trades for a Rosarina? I mean, come on. I mean, we got to get another bat.
I don't. I'm going to say that if someone falls into their lap, if there's a deal that can be made that doesn't hurt the Astros, one of the reasons I think they brought in Dana Brown was because he has been so good at building minor league systems. And that's really what you have to keep this Astros window open. So I'm going to say that they're probably good right now, unless there's just something that, they get a deal that they just can't turn down. I don't see that happening just a few weeks out from spring training. I think they're probably set. Again, there's still a lot of free agents out there. There's still a lot of pitching. There's still guys looking for jobs. I can't imagine being on the free agent market right now.
Like 50 plus pitchers.
Crazy. So, are there still moves to be made? Possibly, but I think the biggest portion of this team is probably just about set.
Well, you know what, Mike? This has been a great show. And this is what I think we should do. Why don't we just wait till the trade deadline and grab Randy Arozarena?
There you go.
Just go win another World Series. This has been another great show. Mike, thank you so much for gracing our presence. Y'all make sure you check out Space City Home Network. He's Mike Stanton, the World Series champion. He brings us validity. Why? Because he is all about the Htown Astros. That's right. I'm Htown Wheelhouse. For myself, Eric, and everybody at Locked On Astros, thank you for tuning in. Here he is from the 8. No Astros.
Adios.
That's excellent. Thank you, sir.